So today we're going to talk about the selfless act of building a profitable business. So we're talking about branding, right, and profitability. Usually those two things don't go together in my head, right? I used to think that there's no return on investment directly tied to branding. And especially at the beginning of my me creating my fitness business, I didn't see the connection between brand and profitability because I was so focused on structuring, my fitness sessions. What time do I do them? Finding the right location. I started an outdoor boot camp actually, so I didn't have a location at the beginning. And then eventually I rented space for my morning classes at a boxing gym, right? So I was trying to figure out all those things, all the logistics. How do I duplicate myself? How do I work more on my business and be able to hire team members and have a system for that, right? For when we grow. So back then, I thought those were the things that I needed to focus on because they had a direct effect on my revenue. And they are, right, at the very surface level. And so raise your hand if you can relate to that, right? Those are the things that typical wellnesspreneurs will think about first when they first start their business. But what I'm about to share with you today is what I know now from that experience. And hopefully you can learn from them because they're very, very valuable lessons. These are lessons that I've learned over the last 10 years that I have learned in my fitness business as well as after I left the industry and being able not to go into the online world and what branding is, in general is important, I think, for entrepreneurs, especially wellnesspreneurs in general, to understand. So, from what I know now, standing out through branding in a saturated wellness market is possible, even though I didn't have this big marketing budget. Also, I generated more revenue even while I was still setting up the systems in my gym, while I create the brand in mind, and it actually helped a lot more people. We helped a lot more people get fitter and healthier in the process because it helped us attract more of our ideal clients through the brand that we're creating. And then what I've also noticed is that with the branding in place, the clients that we attract stayed with us for 2 3 years at a time, sometimes even longer. And it's amazing, like the kind of people that stay because they once they find what works and what they like, they're just gonna stay with you forever, for life. So and then doing it in the way that I'm gonna show you today, the branding would also create a trusted brand that not only increases the perceived value of your business, but also it helps more people trust you, which then means more referrals. And most of the time, referrals aren't linear. So what I mean by that is instead of one person refers one friend, could be one person refers two, three, eight of their friends and family, right? That's exponential and not linear when you create the brand. Wouldn't you want that amount of referrals, right? So I'm sure that you do. So, but raise your hand if you're like, okay, I'm at this point in my business and I do want to get more referrals from the clients that I already have. For because for me, referrals from current clients is one of those things that we don't really think about, but it's also like that low hanging fruit where when we pay attention to it and we focus on it, it's actually going to give us the best results, the quickest results also, because they're already a part of your business. The people that they refer, they're already sold on you, right? You don't even have to sell them because their friend or their family member sold them, sold you to them, right? So this is what selfless yet profitable branding looks like for your wellness business. So if you're thinking self promotion is selfish, this is why I titled this live selfless, because when you brand your business well, aligned with your values, aligned with the results that you're giving your clients, then it's actually selfless because you're reaching more people. with your message, which means you're able to help more people with your business and with your healing modality, right? So maybe you're just starting out, or you still want to get more certifications before you start thinking of making money or taking on clients. So if you're at this point, you're probably not even thinking of building a brand yet, right? That's what I used to think, right? That's from the story that I just said. That's what I did at the very beginning. But here's what I know now. It's not about you. Well, it is and it isn't. So let me explain. It's about your journey, right? The journey that took you from where you were before you had your health transformation, or before you got your certification or your degree, to where you are now. It's that journey that we're talking about, right? This journey alone, it makes you several steps ahead of where your ideal clients currently are in their health journey. So to me, in my eyes, this makes you the qualified expert, because you have done the work and you've gotten the results. So when you think of how you're going to help your clients and the best way to help them, look at your own journey. That was like one of the biggest aha moments for me, in what I do now, is look at my own journey as an entrepreneur, as a wellnesspreneur. And that's ultimately the path that I'm going to take my clients through, because it worked for me, right? And so it's going to work for them. So in that regard, in thinking about your journey and how you're going to help your clients, that part is about you. But when it comes to delivering the results, the best results, it's about listening to the result that that your clients actually want. So let me repeat that. When it comes to delivering the best results to your best clients, it's about listening to the result they actually want. In this case, it's about them. So, for example, I used to have a group program where clients can lose 20 pounds in 6 weeks. Well, I know they want the weight loss, obviously. That's like the promise of the program, right? I also knew that most of them, some of them, they just want to be able to play with their kids or their grandkids without tiring too quickly, or they want to be able to tie their shoelaces without getting winded, right? Or they want to be able to shop for clothes and actually enjoy how their clothes look like on them when they try them on, especially when they look at themselves on that full length mirror, right, in the dressing room, because we sometimes know that it can be unforgiving if we're not like in the best shape, right? So losing 20 pounds in 6 weeks will help all of that, right? All of them get those kind of results. And so there's this big overarching promise. And I will tell you that my team and I helped thousands of people get all of those results in my 10 years. And no one asked me for my certification. I kept up with my certificates, and I even had multiple certificates at one point, but no one really asked, right? And that like baffled me. Like no one, not one single person asked what my certification was. So why do you think this is? Maya Angelou Maya Angelou said it best. She said, because people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? That is so true. Because when you demonstrate that you understand what your clients' problems are, they feel understood. They feel that you really cared so much and you cared enough that you took your time to, one, find it out for yourself what works. And then if you went to get a certification or get an education on it, or you went to get a degree, you took your time to do that, better yourself, and then make sure that your service or product is going to get them the best results. And then you're showing them by letting them know that you know the problem that you can solve for them, that you care. That's ultimately what that says, right, to them. You show them that you care by understanding exactly what results they want and then giving it to them. That's it. That builds trust and credibility with your brand without costing you anything extra. And you're making more money as a result because you're delivering on your promise, right? So now if you're a solo practitioner, right? Most of us are probably are at the beginning. You might be thinking that branding is only for those larger wellness businesses like the Joint Chiropractic, for example, and it's not for me as an individual, right? So let me start just by defining what is a brand, because once I define it, I think that you'll find it's actually very practical. So, brand is just the association between the product or service that you have with the intangible ideas you want people to have with it. So, I see it as the experience they associate with your content, with your sales process, with their interaction with you, whether it's by phone, by Zoom, or when they come into your physical location if you have one, or your team members if you have them. So it's that experience, right, that they associate with your brand. So, for example, the quickest way to build a brand that is associated with the intangible idea of trust is, again, giving them the results that you promised them. That's trust, right? So, going back to the example of my 6-week program, we actually said when they first come in, okay, we know that we can help you lose 20 pounds in 6 weeks. So you pay the deposit. There's a deposit of $497. And when you lose the 20 pounds in 6 weeks, we will give you your money back. That is bold, right? And we got tons of referrals because we stayed true to our word. That's one. And if we're willing to have that kind of guarantee, then they know that we put our money where our mouth is, right? We know that we can deliver the promise so boldly that we actually both sign a contract at the beginning. And then when they do lose the weight, yeah, we write them a check, right? I can't tell you the number of checks that I've written for people who have done the program. And we actually have had people lose, like, do it for a few rounds and they'll lose like 120 pounds, right? And they're like our billboard, like literally they were on the billboard at one point because they had such an amazing transformation. So that kind of product or service builds trust. It's the kind of trust that brings you referrals over and over and over again, right? Another example of a brand, that intangible idea that you want your business or your brand to be associated with, could be friendliness or welcoming, right? uh, so for example, if you have a local health center or a studio, you can show this friendliness through your client's experience when they first enter your facility. Who's greeting them? Do you know your clients' names? But first names, right? Are the staff presentable? Like, so for example, in our gym, we all wore uniforms. I don't care if you're the owner or if you're a team member or your receptionist, especially, you're wearing our shirt with our logo on it. So you're presentable so that like everyone can expect that level of standard, right? So are they wearing uniforms or scrubs? Do they feel like they belong to a community when they come to you, right? Whether it's a virtual community or like in your local center. And then if you do have a physical location, how does the place feel like? Because we know, if you're, especially if you're sensitive to energy, certain places have a certain energy or vibration to them, right? So how does that feel? I know I felt that shift towards the end of my stint in the fitness industry because of the issues that the business was having. So I knew that for a fact that there's a vibration to everything, right? So when it comes to your content, how can you show brand? Hopefully this is making sense. If it is, or if you have questions, just drop them in the comments. I'll make sure to at the end. So in your content, what does branding look like? It's not just about pretty pictures, right? Like the pictures that you had a photo shoot with, or it's not about the colors or the font combinations. Those play a role, but I feel like the brand is more about the total experience, right? The feelings or the emotions that they evoke as a result of the entire package. And then how all those visuals come together to create that look and feel of your brand when they land on your Instagram profile or your Facebook or your website, right? So, for example, can they feel your soul or your essence when they first land on your Instagram profile or your website? How does that feel like? And are you proud of it? And when you look at your own stuff, does it feel like it represents the passion and the values that you stand for, right? So that's what I feel brand is about. So what I would recommend is if you haven't played around with branding at all, you haven't even thought of it before, you can play around. I love to use Pinterest for this because I can play around with the look and feel of the brand that I'm seeing in my imagination, my vision. And then Pinterest, on Pinterest, what you can do is you can search for specific keywords for the words that you want associated with your brand and then see what you come up. And then when the things pop up, Pinterest is kind of like the law of attraction where like when you search for specific things, the algorithm works in like giving you suggestions, and then you can follow that rabbit hole, and whatever you find you can then create your private board, Pinterest board, just to get an idea of how you want your brand to feel to your ideal clients. That will be where I would start. That's actually where I always start. So, are you now starting to see how branding doesn't have to cost a lot of money? Actually, it doesn't. It just requires you to know the kind of experience you want your clients to associate your business with. That's it. There's that's really it in a nutshell. So next, you might be thinking, well, I'll start thinking of my brand when I start to make money. And I get it. I totally understand that line of thinking. But here's what I'll say to that. Again, branding is not so much about looking expensive or looking like a luxury brand, because that's usually what I used to think about when I think of brands. I think of the luxury brands. So that's what I used to think before I'm talking that I knew what I'm talking about with you today. So a brand is more about what makes you stand out. It's what makes you unique. So for example, if what makes you unique is having different healing modalities like Reiki and breath work, meditation, nutrition, essential oils, all that stuff, right? You can combine them, all those different modalities, and package them to get a specific result for your clients. That's your brand. And your brand can be about mind, body, and spirit alignment, right? That is what brand is. It's like, okay, what is it that I'm really about? What are the things that I stand for? What makes me unique as a wellnesspreneur? And then showcase that in your content, in your marketing, in the look and feel of everything that you create, right? From your content to your sales pages to your website to your emails, all that. So the point is, it's not about the bells and whistles. It's not about what fancy equipment you have at your location, but it's more about the combination of your unique gifts, your expertise, and the wisdom that ultimately will make you stand out. So, in conclusion, if you want to build a profitable wellness brand without breaking the bank, while also helping the most clients and accelerating your business growth, then you want to be able to communicate the answer to what do you do? If you have a clear answer to that question, drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. Mine is I help wellnesspreneurs magnify their brilliance through magnetic content so they can attract clients they love working with, which are also the ones that they can deliver the best results to. That's it in a nutshell. If you asked me that a few years ago, I would be like stammering and like come up with a different answer every single time. So I encourage you to really take the time to know the answer to that question. What do you do? And then next, deliver the results you promise to your clients, and then figure out what are the intangible ideas I want my clients to associate my business with. So when you can do that in your content and the rest of your marketing, you create this higher perceived value for your products and services that your clients will think you're one of a kind. They can't replace you. Like they don't want you to move. They don't want to move, right? Because you're literally irreplaceable in their mind and they're not going to want to go somewhere else because they feel like they can't find you somewhere else, even if they tried to, right? So this is actually why self promotion is actually selfless and not selfish. And the more that you get better at communicating who you are, what you stand for, and then the results that you deliver to your clients, the more people you'll help with their health transformation or their spiritual transformation if you have like a spiritual modality. So let me know if that makes sense. If you have any questions, I hope that's been helpful for you. Most of you, I know, will watch the replay of this or the recording of this on YouTube. But if you're wondering how you can create a profitable wellness brand from the very beginning of your business and not wait until like you're way like 2 or 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road, what you want is you can start a conversation with me by just sending me a direct message. And then in that message, I'd love it if you tell me a little bit about of background on yourself and then also let me know where you feel you are stuck right now in this moment. Because here's the thing, it sucks to be stuck. Believe me, I was unclear about what I actually did for some time as I was still trying to find myself, especially after I just left the fitness industry. So when somebody asked me that question, what do you do? It's like I would always like search for the answer in my mind because I had no freaking clue. And so when I actually got the clarity now in that area that I was stuck in, whatever area it is, it could be my message, it could be the answer to what do you do, it could be what to teach or whatever. When I get clarity, things always accelerated, always, right? So it's that clarity. So if you're stuck, I want you to have that clarity. And so it could be just you just message me that question and let me know a little bit about yourself, and I can get you unstuck in like 5-10 minutes, right? Just a 5-10 minute conversation via Instagram or Facebook, wherever you're gonna find me or where you're gonna message me. So, and then if you're watching the recording of this live stream on YouTube, I leave the links to my Facebook and Instagram profiles in the video description. So you can message me on either of those platforms, wherever you're most active. So that is that. Let me just check if we have some questions here. Okay, awesome. Okay, I think we're good. Perfect. And again, if you're watching the replay, and you do have a question, I always go back to the the comments to make sure that I get you taken care of. So with that, this is today's episode of Magnetic Content for Wellness Professionals. And I will see you actually on Thursdays. I will be doing my live on my Facebook, my personal Facebook profile. So I believe it's going to be all about technology, and how to use that to your advantage as leverage to create your content. So if that's something that you want to find out more about, I will invite you to the event. And then if you have anything specific that you want me to talk about during that session on Thursday, same time that I went live today, just drop them in the comments as well. And I'll be sure to answer it in that day's live. All right, that is it for today. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.